This channel is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions. Hi, this is Joe Rabil. I'm going to give you a stock market update for Thursday's close for Friday morning. Let's go ahead and get into this. I want to get through the market conditions. Really haven't been significant changes overall to the conditions. The only thing I want to make sure you understand is that we are in a range here where we should be starting to look for signs of slowing momentum on the trend. And I would probably start with an hourly. I don't even have that up on here, but when I get into the trend and momentum, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because we have the overbought oversold up to 91%. This is at 91. The 5 RSI is at 91. And the sentiment has gotten up to 33%, more bulls than bears. We're 54% bulls. So it's possible we could get up a little bit higher. And really where it gets dangerous is when this number gets up to 40 or higher. So we're in an area where we want to start with, there's elevated risk right now is what I would say, but it's not necessarily a danger zone yet. We have seen this number get up into the 40s before. So it's not like a panic sell or anything like that where we want to get out because it's getting ready to crack. But I think we want to, keep an eye on this now and see if we start to lose momentum. I'm definitely putting the overbought oversold at a negative. The sentiment, I really could have just go ahead and put that in the negative camp. Whoops. And I'm going to switch that right now as we're speaking. So yeah, we've got both of these in a position that we should be looking for some kind of a pullback. Now, the reason why I'm not saying a top is because the rest of the conditions are in pretty good shape and there's signs of improvement. The momentum is very close on the weekly. You almost want to put that kind of borderline positive between the positive and the neutral just because there's been some improvement. I'll get into that in a minute. First of all, the volatility. So we are seeing a little bit of a pop in the daily line. You see how the volatility is starting to grow a little bit, but the reason is that it's so strong to the upside. And normally what we want to see is more volatility causing this line to go up. So we'll just have to see. Right now it's neutral. If it does the same thing as it did the last time, it just comes up and comes right back down, then we're going to move this back to the positive side. But the fact that this is the biggest move, this is the biggest bar in the whole up move, suggests to me that we're probably getting close to some kind of an interim peak. I don't know that we're looking at any kind of really strong reversal or anything just because of how powerful the pattern has been and the improvement overall. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this. So I have these channel lines drawn on the weekly. Well, first of all, on a monthly basis, nothing's shifted quite yet. The monthly MACD is very close to crossing over the signal line, but it hasn't done it. The green DI has crossed over red, but it's well below 25. And we still have a declining 18-month line. So we've got a couple things to happen here. And really, it's more of a time than a price thing. If this just sits up here, if we cross over into a new month, this could start to curl up. This could cross over, but we're going to need, for this to improve, we're going to need to see more strength to the upside, which to me just doesn't seem, yeah, we can definitely do it, but I think it would take away from the potential upside of this in the bigger picture. So I would prefer to see this start to pull back here sooner rather than later. But you got to realize, I think what's going on, guys, is we've got this breakout pattern that developed on the weekly. When this came up through this area here, and especially now we're seeing a little bit of chase taking place as it crossed through here because everybody's caved in now. As you know, I thought this was the important line at 3,200. That was the shift of trend back to the upside. A lot of technicians out there were looking at 3,300 because it's the 618 retracement. And I don't have a problem with looking at it that way, but the issue I've got with that is now everybody's on the same page, right? I mean, there's not I would think anybody who's been bearish is probably starting to throw in the towel. I don't know. I don't read a lot of other guys. I'm not sure exactly what guys are doing, But that in a lot of cases ends up being, what ends up being like an interim peak. We could get some kind of a pause or a pullback to take place that leads higher. But the point I'm making here is that we've got a rally that you could almost call a fear of missing out rally now, because you have all these, really brokerage firms and a lot of the big analysts strategists out there have been really negative, talking about how the economy was going to a recession and all that. And now the market's breaking out to the upside. Well, these guys are underinvested. That's what this market is telling me. They're just underinvested. And we see a steady stream of pretty good volume, which suggests to me there's no capitulation yet. They're just trying to get money in every single day. They're trying to catch up. So until these guys get invested, and maybe that means we look for a big volume week, and that would be a sign of a reversal. And that might happen in a single day too. We look for a big volume day. Now we're really close. This has now gotten well above 25, making a higher high. And as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I guess it was last week, where we started to break out above this. Now this line is starting to climb. I've improved volume. We've got a good look to the MACD. I mean, there's really not a whole lot wrong. We are getting up towards this upper channel line, and this is a pretty big week. This is the biggest week in the up move. So this is a good spot to maybe see holiday weekend, long weekend. So tomorrow, Friday, should be a really good day, is my guess, or at least a positive day. Or maybe it ends up being a pause day just because today was such a big day. But either way, I would say I wouldn't expect any kind of a big reversal, but that could happen next week. And I'm not saying a big reversal, but one that maybe shows up that causes a little bit of a pullback or a little bit of a pause. Now, the reason why that might not happen is because we could go into this, what we've started to see is more rotation taking place and an expansion developing, where more and more stocks are breaking out, more and more stocks are participating. And when that's the case, you got to be really careful about being too negative or waiting for your perfect price. What you want to do in this situation is go follow your own watch list. And I suggest this to my subscribers. They get a watch list from me every week. They should be taking that down to a smaller list that they really want to hone in on. And if you get entry in those stocks that meet the criteria, everything that you're looking for, and you get good entry, I think you got to go ahead. Now, I wouldn't be going and buying NVIDIA today, right? I wouldn't be going and buying Apple today or Microsoft. Those don't meet my criteria and they're way overbought. But there's a lot of new stocks breaking out, and I think you want to be aware. So just to give you an idea, this is just an example of something like FTV. Look at this breakout. This was one of the highlights I had. It was a nice little zero line reversal on the weekly. It was a low ADX condition, starting to show signs of green DI. Nice breakout here. So these are stocks that can be played. I don't know that you necessarily want to wait for the market to give you an opportunity in something like this. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. Now, in terms of the daily, let's just look at this real quick. Notice how the momentum is confirming this move. So we're making a move to the upside. We've got MACD hitting a new high. We've got green DI hitting a new high. We've got ADX going to new highs. And look at how weak this negative DI line is. And so what I would tell you is, even if this starts to die off, we really need to see sellers show up. We're going to need this red line to go up. So we've got the buyers on one end and the sellers on the other. Until the sellers show up, I wouldn't expect any kind of a real significant pullback right now. The buyers could go away or be a little less interested, but until sellers come in, we're probably not going to see any kind of a significant decline. Now, just to point out a couple things, let's just look at this. This is a breakout for the Dow this week. It was going through this consolidation, almost like a bull flag on the weekly, walking along the 18-month low ADX pattern. We had a cupping pattern on the MACD, and I think this is pretty good. I think this is a good sign. We see some industrial improvement, definitely some improvement in the financials, and that's what's helping kicking this thing into gear. One of the only concerns I still have here, now this ended up having a decent day, up 82 ticks, but what I'll tell you is that we need to see the relative strength line continuing to improve here. This actually underperformed today. This was an underperformer. Now, it's possible this could climb up towards 200, and I'm definitely seeing more stocks participating, and it's broadening out. But I'd like to see this index play a little bit better if we're going to go through an extensive bull market that has real legs and can go up for a long time. I don't think it can do it without this index improving. All right. So keep playing the game and the spider. You gotta. So the market conditions are telling you to start to be a little bit cautious, but we still have to follow the trend and momentum. And we start with the smaller time frames. And if you notice, we've got confirmation on the hourly. You see how there's no sign of a reversal at all and no sign of momentum loss yet? We're going to need to see that show up here first. All right. I actually like to see it on here. But if we don't show it here, it's not going to show up on the daily chart. So keep an eye on this. As long as that's the case and everything looks okay, you can continue to play individual stocks that are meeting your criteria, that are not overbought. Don't play stocks that are up 4, 5, 6 weeks in a row and feel like you're chasing something. It's just not worth it. All right. At some point, those stocks will pull back and you'll get a better opportunity. So that's the update for the week. Have a good long weekend. Take care.